All right, finally, let's take a look at Tesla. Shares of that stock are surging today on the back of Donald Trump's victory. Trump mentioning CEO Elon Musk in his speech following the election results.
We have a new star. A star is born, Elon. He's a character, he's a special guy, he's a super genius. We have to protect our geniuses. We don't have that many of them.
For more on how Trump's win will impact Tesla, Ross Gerber Kawasaki Wealth and Investment Management CEO. It's great to have you back on the program, Ross. So here we are. Looks like at least initial reaction that maybe Musk's big bet here on Trump pays off, at least for him. I'm curious, as a Tesla shareholder, how are you looking at this?
Well, certainly it puts Elon in the driver's seat as far as access to the White House. I think there's this difference between what's great for Elon and what's sort of great for Tesla. To the Tesla's advantage, I would assume that this would help them getting, at least on a federal regulatory basis, get some of the heat off of them because they have so many investigations. On a state level, it doesn't help them at all as far as getting approvals for robo-taxis and such. You know, what I really think is it's too early to determine if Trump's going to roll back the subsidies to EVs, and this will hopefully prevent that from happening and hurting Tesla, and hence the rally, although Trump has threatened to do this. So I think it's too early to be seeing how much this really is going to affect Tesla in the short term or the long term. But obviously having Musk as of now in Trump's favor, can't hurt Tesla, and that's why the stock's rallying.
So what are you doing with your Tesla shares? Are you buying any more?
Well, no, I'm not buying any more. We've been lowering our stake in Tesla because it was our top position several years ago. We made a lot of money. We still think the challenges Tesla faces to get full self-driving to work is not going to be solved by Donald Trump coming in the White House. So if anything, I would argue the opposite. It's more things that Elon's going to be distracted from working at Tesla. But that said, Tesla has its own problems to solve, and we're investors in Tesla, and we have a position in Tesla at my firm. It's still fairly substantial, and we're not planning on getting rid of Tesla, so that's where we're at.
So Ross, I guess my question is for you. Here we are today with market cap at just over $900 billion. Dan Ives of Wedbush was out calling for $1 trillion in market cap, not too far away. What do you think? I know there's some apprehensions just in terms of the distraction piece of this and maybe what else is at play here for Tesla specifically, but how realistic is that? We're not too far.
Well, I think that there's a lot of people who get on television shows by saying really big numbers, and Dan is certainly one of them, and I love him and I respect his analysis. That said, you have to back into these numbers. If you're going to be worth all this money, you sort of have to say, like, well, where does the earnings come from? And that's really what we're waiting to see with Tesla, because the bottom line is full self-driving doesn't work at this point. Robots are not a viable market at this point. So a lot of what we're talking about is many, many years into the future, and Tesla has to get through the now and the short and the medium term before they get to the long term. So as I said, I think Tesla has a lot of challenges in front of it. It's got probably one of the highest valued tech stocks in the market, if not from a large cap perspective. And so the stock certainly reflects this, optimism. And as I said, I think I'm not a buyer of Tesla for sure at these prices, and I've been a seller around these prices as well. So, I think if you want to own Tesla, you should. It's kind of what I said about Bitcoin. If you want to own Bitcoin, own Bitcoin. I can't tell you what it's going to do. If you want to own Tesla. It kind of goes in the same risk bucket in your portfolio, and it's part of our risk bucket in our portfolio. And it's just not the biggest risk that we're taking today, which is more in things like computer chips like NVIDIA, because Tesla and Elon are sending all their money to NVIDIA. And that's my preferred play right now in the market over the next several years.
So it sounds like you think it's also bullish for the broader tech rally, but I want to stick with Tesla for one more minute. We have a photo of Trump and Elon Musk together last night. Musk posted this just after midnight. Given the relationship that the two clearly have, let's say that full self-driving technology is fast-tracked for approval, despite what you mentioned that there are still questions about the efficacy of that technology. If it's approved too quickly and it doesn't actually work, could that end up being bearish for Tesla, given what that would mean in terms of company news moving forward?
Yes and no. I think you need to look at it this way, okay? for robo-taxis to work, it's a combination of hardware and software that has to work. We see this now every day in Santa Monica with Waymo. So Waymo has an operating robo-taxi service where I live, and it's working very, very well. And if you look at the amount of hardware that's on a Waymo car compared to a Tesla, it's vastly different, where the software that Tesla's been developing is really doing the heavy lifting. And right now the software just doesn't work. So, you cannot get across LA in a Tesla on full self-driving. It just doesn't work. And most of the critical interventions would be to avoid an accident. So until that happens, it doesn't really matter whether the regulators approve it or disapprove it. If it's running people over, people are going to take them off the roads. And so it has to work. I can tell you, I can use it. I use it every day. It doesn't work yet. I'm super frustrated about it. It's been like 4 or 5 years I've been testing self-driving software, or we've been told it's going to be done. I just sold my third Tesla with full self-driving that I've paid for 3 times, and it's never fully worked. So I think that's the issue, right? Like if you turn on your computer, it doesn't work. So that's what Tesla needs to solve, and that's the only thing that's important in my mind that Tesla is focused on right now, because they don't care about selling cars anymore.
So Ross, what do you think the degree of that downside risk looks like for Tesla?
It's really a valuation risk, because you've got earnings estimates going into next year in the mid $3 range, $3.20. And then you say, well, does it deserve 100 times earnings? It's like NVIDIA trades at 40 or 35 times earnings. And that is up to the market to decide. It's not really up to me to decide. I tend to buy stocks based off a valuation that is based off actual numbers, not like just hope. So there's a hope premium in Tesla that might be like worth several $100 billion. And not to say it's not worth that. That's what I'm saying. It's like people's perception of the future of Tesla might be better than the future perception of what NVIDIA is, maybe. But when I value it based off the way I value stocks, I still think the stock is wildly expensive, and that's where I'm at,
All right, Ross, thank you so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate it.